Coach Kellie Speak Show. It's your girl, Coach Kellie, here each and every Monday on Listen Vision Live. Today's show is going to be epic. I'm super duper excited. I have an amazing guest, someone that I've known for many, many years. And I think before I even talk about that, I like to always talk about my week and things that are going on with Coach Kellie. And so this week I took on the awesome task of documenting my workflow and things that I'm doing behind the scenes. Oftentimes you see entrepreneurs, you see the finished product, but you don't get a chance to see exactly what is going on and the things that they're doing in the community, things that they're doing, even in their own family life. And so I'm doing a whole entire a new thing called Coach Kellie Wives Night Out and Coach Kellie's Marriage Boot Camp. And many years of being a hairstylist, I have helped my clients through many, many transitions. One of them is, having their first date, going from their first date to saying that person is the one, to planning a bridal shower, getting married, baby showers, and also just the heartache of divorce as well, domestic violence, just so many different things that I have experienced within my clients and my glam girls as well. Sometimes they'll come in and they need dresses for, they're going to get divorced. They want to, be snatched for that. And so a lot of times I'm able to talk to them. Some of them have even reconsidered after talking to me the whole entire process. And so I wanted to create something that will give you a chance to fight. Not just so much fight for your marriage, but also fight for you within your marriage. Because I think sometimes people lose themselves in the transition of, parenthood, being a mother, being a wife, especially a lot of new wives. I think a lot of times there is a struggle that happens. There's that struggle of, really, really being excited about someone. You love someone, but then you're trying to balance, managing the household and things like that, and those things can cause separation and problems in your relationship. I like to talk about my own relationships and things that I have been through personally. I'm not telling these stories, or I haven't created this program just for people who have been in situations, but I also document my own personal story, my own personal journey. And so if you're interested, please sign up, join our mailing list at www.coachkelliespeaks.net. You can get your tickets. Our next Wives Night Out is going to be on March the 3rd at 5 p.m. in Camp Springs, Maryland. Once you go into the link and purchase your ticket, then we will send you the exact location. I'm super excited about that. I have been receiving countless testimonies of women who were at the last Wives Night Out, which was November the 7th, and how their relationship has changed, how their marriage has improved, how husbands have been returning home, some who have already been divorced, those who are now settling to even remarry their divorced husband. So I think that is an exciting thing. It's a 7-day boot camp, and it was developed something by Holy Spirit and I, just having those moments with in prayer and in worship, and understanding that there are some things that you can do as a woman to save yourself. Not just so much save your relationship, but save yourself from a lot of the things that we go through emotionally, physically, and spiritually during the transition of deciding what's best for you. And so we're going to take a quick break, and then after the break, we're going to have the writer and director of Bounding Gag, The Experience, Shannon Wren. Hello, everyone. It's your girl, Coach Kellie, from the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. I'm here to talk about my brand new book, the 30-Day, 30-Minute Visionary Journal, Awakening the Finisher Within. I wrote this book because I wanted to inspire other people to be finishers in their own personal journey of business and everyday life. So writing this book has really helped me to organize my thoughts a lot better, and has also just made me look at things different and not put so much pressure on myself, because before I would try to compile so much information in at one time, but now it has slowed my pace down a lot,
and I'm able to really plan things out in a 30-minute manner. And so I think that now, with different projects that I'm working on, I feel that I'm a little more confident in what it is that I'm doing because I've actually planned it out better. So I hope that people who get this book will have a deeper appreciation for, number one, who they are, what they've been called to, and the people group that they've been called to as well. I also want people to have a clear and step-by-step guide to how to fight against fear and procrastination. I hope that this book will help you to win in each and every level of your life, each and every area of your life. I want this book to change the way you see yourself. When you look yourself in a mirror, that you won't see yourself through the eyes of fear, but that you'll see yourself through the eyes of faith, knowing that you are a finisher and that you will finish each and every project that you put your hands on. I just wanted to take this opportunity to say thank you, gracias, because without you, I would not be able to do what I do, what I love every day, from styling my clients to the boutique, and now my new show, the Coach Kellie Speaks Talk Show. This has been an exciting journey for me. I'm inspired by each and every last one of your comments, how you share my posts, going on to YouTube, leaving comments, just all of that just warms my heart every time I read it. And so I wanted to just let you know that you can buy my book on my website at www.coachkelliespeaks.net. Thank you again for tuning in, and I love you guys so much. Thanks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Coach Kellie Speaks Show. I am here with the creator of Shannon Brand Enterprises.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's such an honor to see women, and we're moving into women's what is it, women's business month or month. Yeah, we're moving into that next month, and then we're talking about love this season. Of course, Valentine's Day is coming up, and that's not everyone's story.
Absolutely.
And so tell us about yourself.
Well, I can say you can be your own Valentine. Fall in love with yourself.
Yeah.
So basically, my name is Shannon Wren, as you know, and we've known each other for a very long time. I am a domestic violence survivor / overcomer.
Okay.
And so being a domestic violence victim pushed me to write about my situation. I felt like a lot of women that I knew were going through the situation. They didn't know I was, but, a lot of times in talking, people start to talk about their issues. And so I realized that a lot of women were going through domestic violence. So I was silently. So once I realized that I was in domestic violence, what basically happened was, before I ended up leaving my relationship, my marriage actually, of 24 years. Wow. We had 5 children out of that union. I ended up realizing at that point that I was in domestic violence. The night that I decided that it was time to go was when an incident happened. I was strangled. He strangled me so bad that I lost my bodily functions. I urinated on myself and everything. And I realized at that point, okay, this is just not good. The kids are seeing this or what have you. So at that time, Dee Dee Cutler assisted me in getting out. I really didn't know it was domestic violence. I didn't know anything about domestic violence. I just felt like this was a guy that had some issues and, he needed some help. But I never put a name to it. And so when I went to the police precinct and you had to check the box and the Dee Dee said, check domestic violence. I was like, no, that's not what happened. She was like, no, that's what it's called. And so it just kind of opened me up totally to putting a name to what I was going through. So then I thought to myself, how many other women that are going through this thinking, not that it's normal, but just thinking that it's just something that happens in marriage.
Wow.
And at the church I was going to at the time, basically, they pushed you to stay together regardless of what. I don't care what you were going through, you stay together. And so that's why I stayed so long, because being in church, you know, you don't want your marriage to end. Of course, not something that's going to expose everybody's life.
Right,
and so I thought really long and hard about needing to get out, because there were several incidents that happened, but that was like the defining moment for me. And so Dee Dee kind of really took my hand and helped me through the process. And I really do believe that if she wasn't there, I probably would have gone back. I probably wouldn't have never, you know, really moved forward and realized what was going on. And so I started thinking about that and what I wanted to be to other people. And so I was talking to I called him my brother, Preston Scott. And he said, don't you think it's time for you to tell your story? Because at that time I had told him about what was going on. We were working on.
How was that, to tell your story to someone else?
It was frightening, because you feel like you think people are going to judge you, you know, or you feel like people are going to think that you were being phony all this time.
Okay.
And it's not that you were being phony. It's just that you just don't know how people are going to take you. You just don't know how people are going to understand or be understanding about what you're going through. So it's like a fear, you know, as far as exposing yourself, because then you become vulnerable to the thoughts of other people. So you're dealing with trying to come out and what your spouse thought about you, and then you come out, and then you're worrying about what other people are gonna think about you. So it's just, it's not a good situation. But I had to realize that even in my abusive state, I had to go back and ask myself what happened and why did I allow that? Because I thought I was a pretty confident woman. I really did. But when it all boils down, when you allow someone to devalue you, you don't value yourself. And I had to fix Shannon first. I had to fix what was broken on the inside of me before I could fully move forward with helping somebody else.
Yeah.
And so I wrote Bound and Gagged to use as a visual, because a lot of times we have symposiums, we have, you know, talk backs, but I decided that let's put a visual to how domestic violence affects families. And so writing Bound and Gagged did just that. I didn't really know how people were going to receive it. I was like, oh, you know, I was thinking, okay, a few people come, I'll move on, I'll write something else, because that's not my only play. I've been writing for 20 some years. So it was so well received, and people were really being able to identify with what I was saying. And I realized that it wasn't just me. And so I just felt like I kind of became the voice of the voiceless.
Wow.
And even becoming the voice of the voiceless, they too then started to have a voice. And people start to want to talk, and they start to want to share. And so it was almost like a domino effect. We started this project in October of 2012, and you remember, because we were down at the Women of Arts Museum.
Yes.
And we're still doing the play. And so
it's amazing. I think that the part that got me kind of like goosebumps is when you said that, you know, it was other women who came out, you know, and you started, I'm sure you helped to save them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Through your play. I mean, I've seen it myself a few times, and, you know, just seeing just the response from the audience, or just seeing that you've built a community around it.
Yeah.
Like a family.
It has made a lot of impact. And again, like I said, I had no idea, Kellie, that Coach Kellie, that it was gonna make the impact that it made. You know, it amazes me, it blows my mind. I mean, I've had a lot of ups, I've had a lot of downs, but I have to count it all joy, because the emails and the text messages and the letters and the inboxes on Facebook that I read from people that it has impacted men. I gave this DVD to a young lady that I had left, And she went home and she put it in. She put it in that night, she said, and then she fell asleep. She said, not because it wasn't good. I was like, okay, whatever. So she put it in the next morning, and her husband was there. She had taken off work because she wasn't feeling well, and unbeknownst to her, her husband had stayed home as well. She put it in, and I didn't know she was going through anything. And she inboxed me and said that her husband started crying.
Wow.
And fell to his knees and was just like praying and saying, God, help me. Because, again, when you put a visual to domestic violence, abuse, emotional, mental, it just changes your perspective sometimes, on either what you're doing or what you're allowing. And so I just did not think that we would be still doing this play almost 6 years later.
Yeah.
And then to new audiences, I've been to California. We did very well in California. We did 2 shows and we sold out. And I ain't know nobody in California. So I was like, God, this is definitely going to be you but to go there and sell out and make the impact, still getting emails from them and coming. I said, God, I have something here.
Yeah.
And so I've just been, consistently trying to be that bridge because there's a part where Dee Dee was so significant with Bound and Gagged and me coming out, that bridge in leaving and what's on the other side.
Wow.
So what's in between to help you get there? And so a lot of times women don't have that in between, that bridge.
What is the in between?
The in between is when you leave domestic violence or any situation, a lot of times you don't have the finances. You don't have a place to go. A lot of times the shelters are full. A lot of transitional housing don't allow you to bring your kids. So nobody wants to part with their kids. So a lot of times that's the deciding factor in people going back to their, it's not because they want to, it's because they don't have a choice. And so the in-between is giving them that bridge or giving them what they need to keep them moving forward. Yeah. When the shelters say no, then that's when I come in and I use my organization, which is a nonprofit, Shannon Enterprises, Inc., to get hotel stays, to get care packages, to take them to transitional. I find transitional housing for them. I've driven like 2.5, 3 hours away to make sure a family was okay. You know what I mean? So that bridge to keep them from going back. I feel like it's my duty and my responsibility to find somewhere for them to go. If they were brave enough to make the move to say, I want out, then I need to do all that I can do and within me to help them move forward. So that's that in between. Not having the finances, not having the shelter, not having the wherewithal to move forward. Because again, there is a other side, but you got to get to it. So how do you do that? So Dee Dee was phenomenal. And so I said, this is what I want to be to someone else. Wow. And so that's what I've been doing.
Through your creativity, through your
Absolutely.
art. You know what I mean? I just think that is so... Dee's House of Hope, is that what you're telling me? I'm not sure if that... Oh, okay, yeah. I know that my first lady is working on a project called Dee's House of Hope.
Yeah.
In a way to transition women to safety.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So other organizations that help, I'm sure that you can also help them too.
I'm going to actually have 2 organizations. The Keisha Brown Foundation, that's Miss Mignon Brown. She does an awesome job. Pamela Hawk also has Serenity's Door.
Okay.
As you stated, Dr. Dee Dee with Dee's House of Hope, and we've partnered together on a lot of different endeavors to assist women because we know that is her heart as it relates to domestic violence, just women in general. You know, we're women, and it's like, when one hurt, we really do all hurt.
Always feel the pain. I was just saying earlier how, starting a Wives Night Out, I was in my own situation. I didn't really have the help that I needed. Just getting in a point where your soulmate, someone that you love so much, you can't have a conversation with them, you know, and just trying to have conversations with people, and they say the same thing, which is trust God. And then some days it's like, okay, I need like steps. And so I begin to study emotional intelligence. I learned to study, you know, meditation and just other forms of therapy. And I went to therapy and some of the things that a lot of people aren't willing to do, and developed the Coach Kellie Speaks Last Night Out. And just to see so many women who said they had never been to anything that specifically just help wives, and not just say, well, just pray and let it go.
Absolutely.
Let it work, but actually giving them, like you said, a bridge or that in between to teach them, hey, like you said, I have to heal me from the inside out and heal that brokenness. And so during that time, that's what we're doing. We're talking to the women and trying to see, because a lot of those women are in domestic situations, and it later comes out at the end. And so I think it would be a great resource to even partner with you and maybe even hosting one of our girls' night out at one of your plays.
Absolutely.
You know, and even just putting it on my website, because I think a lot of women are in that transition and they don't have anywhere to go.
Absolutely.
You know,
and a lot of them are just ashamed to talk about it. For whatever reason, you have this thought process that you're the only one. And it's like, you know, people know me, you know, I've done this, I've done that, you know, I can't let people know this other side.
I can't be
me.
not perfect.
I can't not be perfect. I can't not have, you know,
Fear.
this marriage that everybody thought I had, you know, this fairy tale marriage. And so it puts a pressure on you also to stay in it, you know, because you don't want people to, again, judge you or look at you any different, or, you know. And again, like I said, because you do become very vulnerable after you come out, you do. And so it's just been so phenomenal, you know, in discovering different things about myself, as well as I grow and help other people and impact other people. You know, it's just amazing how God does things. I never would have thought in a million years that I would have wrote a project and we'd be here. I just never thought that, and the impact, you know, that it has had. So, you know, I really want also us to, as far as church is concerned, because a lot of times that's where a lot of broken people are. And again, because people come in with a facade and they come in, you know, living a expected life, you know, by others, and so they don't feel comfortable in really being transparent about. So I that's another one of my fights. I don't want to say it's a fight, but just getting people to understand that we're not perfect.
And things happen. I think the hospital concept, and that's what I always tell people, I think the hospital concept of church is a real thing. You know, people come in from all walks of life, you know, different ethnic backgrounds, different classes financially, and everyone has the same look. You know, you have on your nice dress, you know, you have on your smile, and you cannot see. And then every now and then you'll meet someone who can see you, you know, beyond everything.
Absolutely.
And then that person links up with you, they disciple you, they help you. But then there's that part of it where you have to, like Pastor Sharetta Gallaudet always says, participate in your rescue, because sometimes the resources are there, but you have to get out of the fear of saying, I don't care if I'm exposed, as long as there's change.
Absolutely.
And then also making sure that the wisdom of God, and that's just for the audience, that when you do reach out for help, that it's someone that is not going to expose everything. Because I think that's another reason why people don't reach out, because there's like, girl, you heard about, you know, whatever.
Right.
And so we have a responsibility to create a safe place.
Absolutely. A safe place where they can come and share, a safe place where they really feel that they can be transparent. And that's one thing I love about, you know, the type of organization that we have, is that, you know, you can't say anything. You can't tell or revealed a lot of different things. I know somebody called and they were saying, well, why people don't really see what you do. I said, because I can't expose the women that I help. I can't plaster their face all over saying this, because these are women that are really running for their lives. Yeah. I had one young lady that was going through, and she her husband had thrown boiling hot water on her, and she didn't leave right away. She was trying to heal it herself, and it got infected.
Oh wow.
And that was probably one of the most disheartening cases that I ever dealt with. And it's like you got to keep yourself together, because a part of you gets angry and then a part, you want to put on all your black like in the play and get your weapons of choice, because it's like but then I realized that abusers need help too. Okay. So we're not partial to just the victims, because most of the time it's generational. Most of the time abusers have been abused. Okay. In most cases, and how they were raised, is generational, and you respond the same way. You react the same way when you were growing up. You just repeat the behaviors learned, and a lot of things that I'm saying is in the actual play, because that's where it comes from. And so a lot of times we don't reach out. Men, they don't reach out to get the help. It's okay to get counseling outside of the church. It's okay to get therapy. Okay. It's okay for the kids to get therapy. You everybody has to be made whole to be able to move on. My children, we just had a conversation not that long ago, and my oldest daughter was like, I think I need to go back to counseling. And I'm like, yeah, go back to counseling, because my oldest is the one that saw the most and was impacted. Well, all of them were impacted, but she and my son, I believe, was probably impacted the most, because they were there from the beginning. And it really does have a lasting effect on your children. Mm-hmm. And that was one of my biggest struggles also as a parent, beating myself up because I stayed so long. Yeah. And I didn't leave for various reasons, like Bound and Gagged, the title, Bound by Fear, Gagged by Love. I was bound by the fears that I had, fear of the unknown, fear of not having this man in my life, fear of what was going to happen if I left, fear of failing, fear. There was so many fears wrapped up. So that's where I got the title from. And then I was gagged by love, because I really loved him. And I wanted him to get help, but I didn't want anybody else to ridicule him. So I kept quiet. I was gagged by the love that I had for him, because I didn't want anybody else to judge him. I didn't want anybody else to see who this man really was. So I felt like my love was protecting him, but I was enabling at the same time. I'll never forget one of the counseling sessions that I went to, and that's what the minister told me. He was like, "You're enabling him." I got so mad. I was like, he is a grown man, and he knows how to make this. I just went off, but then I got to myself and I thought about it, how Holy Spirit kind of checks you. And I was like, he's right. I'm enabling the behavior because I'm not doing anything about it. But I couldn't, because again, I had to fix me. Yeah. I had to realize my deficits.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll have more of Shannon Brown when we return. Give up?
I think people give up because they don't think they're good enough.
So why do you think people give up on their dreams or any part of life?
I think people have a tendency to give up on their hopes and dreams and aspirations due to, some might say, defeat. But in defeat, there's also a lesson to be learned, and I think a lot of times, if we draw on the lessons of defeat, it actually can give you enough fuel to overcome any and everything But ultimately, it comes down to just feeling sorry for oneself, having self-doubt, and ultimately losing focus and belief in oneself.
So, oftentimes people give up. What do you think the reason is?
Um, I feel like people give up because they're scared to fail. And, you know, failure is like a big reason to why people don't try as hard, or they don't want to see like the end result. So I think that's why people give up.
Thank you. So, why do you think people give up on their dreams?
I think people give up because of time and because of listening to other people. They think because if you want to be a singer, you can't make it in that business, so it's really, really hard. Or even when you get older, after a certain age, as a kid, you're in high school, so you have all these big dreams, big imagination, and you're like, okay, I can do this, I can do that. And then you get even older, you're in college, you're like, well, I can do this, but I can make more money in this. And then you're like, okay, well, I kind of got to change it. I like this, but I'm gonna take a little bit out of it and try my hardest to make some money. And then you get even older, and you're like, I just need to make a living. So then you kind of give up because you need to survive. You need to make a living. You need to help your family. And now you have a family. Now you have a house or an apartment or something like that, and you have no money. So it's harder to say, well, I got to chase my dream, but do I eat first? It's a little different. And you listen to everybody else. Everybody's telling you no, and you take it and you run with it, and you're like, well, maybe it's just not for me. No, it wasn't for them. It's just a little harder, but that doesn't mean stop.
So I love that segment. I've been running that same commercial for a while because I find that a lot of people are just giving up. Like they're just allow themselves to work on a project. Like you say, you've been working. You've been working consistently for 6 years on this place. So what prevents you from giving up?
Well, I have wanted to give up like so many times. What prevents me from giving up is the emails and the text messages. It's highs and lows in everything.
Okay.
And so the text messages, the message and the text messages from the impact is what, I've said a million times. Corey and Amani, all of them can attest to me. I'm not doing it no more. I'm not doing it anymore because, of course, it's finances involved. Mm-hmm. It costs a lot to put up productions. They're not free. The cast isn't free. It's just not free. So a lot of times when you don't have the wherewithal, you feel like you failed. When you can't do what you said you were going to do, you feel like you failed. Mm-hmm. And so I've had a lot of those moments, but those text messages and just knowing that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. I'm in the lane where I belong. Yes. And I believe that also helps me. I get discouraged at times, but I have to really, those are the times where I have to really be self-assured in what I'm doing. Self-assured in knowing that what I'm doing is what I'm supposed to be doing. I know that God has ordained me to do this, and I try to stay in that lane. So that's what keeps me from giving up. I've had really, really valley lows. Mm-hmm. Felt like I was all by myself. Mm-hmm. But I know God has just always been with me because when I get in those moments, a text message, an email, or something comes through, honestly, with someone telling me how the play has impacted them. Yeah. And so that's that motivation, and that's when I know that my purpose is divinely orchestrated. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I'm able to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's awesome. So let's get into the play. Can you post the flyer up? And then also we'll get into the cast and all of those things.
Oh, look at them.
So
aren't they
look
wonderful?
So great. Let me show you all. Can you see that? So that's the cast. Yes, I love that. That is so beautiful.
Oh,
So let's talk about the venue. Let's talk about the day. What should we expect? How can we get tickets?
So, I just posted last night because I just found out that the online VIP tickets are all sold out. Sorry, we do have a few on hand,
Okay.
but I did want to give a pair away. I give a
Okay.
pair to you, and
Oh, thank you.
and then a pair to someone that either you could choose them or you can come up with something on how you want to give them away. So Bound and Gagged is going to be at Harmony Hall Regional Center, which is in Fort Washington, Maryland. The information is on the flyer. I don't have the exact address. 10701 Livingston Road, Fort Washington, Maryland, 20744. You can get your tickets online at Bound and Gag The Experience.eventbrite.com. And so we entitled this The Experience because I reinvented it. Sometimes you do something for so long and then I get bored easily. I always try to change something in the play to make it take it to another level. So I decided to call it The Experience because this is what people are going to have. They're going to have an encounter and an experience while coming. Starts at 3 p.m. And there's a possibility that we will be adding a second show because I did not that I didn't expect, but I have never sold out of tickets so early.
Oh, wow.
So that's a great thing.
It is.
So we're probably going to be having another show. But The Experience this time, as you can see with the flyer, is a little different. The script is pretty much the same, but we've just kind of switched some things up.
Okay.
Without giving anything away, it's just going to be from the time that you walk in the door. When we did the show in LA, we wanted to make sure that we created a great experience. So one of my heart's desires was to have the same setting when people first enter as they do when they get into the theater. So we have a ton of surprises that are going to set us apart from just regular theater. And so impactful. As I stated, the two organizations, they're going to be there. I feel it's necessary to I always try to have a organization or multiple organizations there to help with the resources, because every 9 seconds someone in the U.S. is being abused, according to statistics as it relates to the domestic violence organizations that have been putting out the statistics lately. You guys have seen in the news, that even some of our top officials have accusations of domestic violence. So the play, I didn't see it. The play is just going to touch on so many things. So my website is Shannon Wren, ShannonWhren.com. And we have information on statistics. We have information on resources. We have information on how you can get assistance, what you need to do, the steps in getting out. And one of the things I want to say is once you make a decision to get out, that is the absolute worst time of your abuser hurting you or trying to kill you. So you have to be smart. You have to be safe. If you're making a plan, you just make sure that your plan is airtight. Make sure that you talk to someone that is experienced with domestic violence and what you're going through. Girlfriends are great, but you want to make sure that you are taking the proper steps to assist you in getting out and getting out safely. So again, I have those resources on my website. I am on social media as Shannon Wren. I am on social media as Shannon Dorey -Wren, DOREY WHREN. So on all of my Instagrams and Twitters is at Shannon Wren, WHREN. So I have a plethora of information that I'm always sharing. Again, it's stuff on the website, shannonwren.com, ShannonWHREN.com. And so if you go in there, you'll definitely find information. Again, Serenity's Door, Miss Pamela Hawk, she has an organization that assists the Lakeisha Brown Foundation, which is Miss McNyon Brown. She has a plethora of information. She actually specializes and is certified in facilitating teen dating as it relates to teen violence in dating. So
yeah. So what would you tell someone who is in a domestic violence situation today?
If they came to me, what I would tell them right now is, first of all, identify how they are basically being abused, and then making sure that it's their decision to want to get out, making sure that it's something that they want to do. You never want to force anybody to make a decision. You want to just make them aware and make them aware of the options that are out there, and then allow them to choose, basically, to choose what it is that they would want to do. So sometimes, you have to pull information by asking certain questions to kind of find out what they really want, to find out what they really need. You know what I mean? And so each one is different. You have those that you help and they end up going back, and you got to be okay with that, because you have to let that individual kind of get through it, not themselves, but as far as come to terms with when enough is enough for them. So that's what I would do. I would have to ask some questions, and then based on the response, then I would definitely, I definitely don't think that anyone should stay in it. However, I understand that everybody's different.
Yeah. And so I am super, super excited. I'm super proud. I cannot wait. I would definitely love to cover the event, on the Coach Kellie Speaks show, and come and do some coverage of the event. I think it'll be a great segue to just really get into Women's History Month as well.
Absolutely.
And I think that what you're doing is, phenomenal. So I really thank you and appreciate for being a part of the show.
Thank you.
You never know who's going to see this and who likes it, that we can change. And so thank you so very much for being a part of it. You can stay while close out. And so I'm going to show a quick video about the Wives Night Out, and you can register straight on my website at www.coachkelliespeaks.net. And so we're going to take a quick break and show you the video, and then we'll come back on and finish up. That was nice.
That was really
That was
nice.
cute. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. So we're gonna just talk a little bit. As we were just saying, it's so many needs that have to be met. You know, you try to, you know, I never thought that I would do a wise night out personally. You know,
Really?
just because being such a busy lady, you know, being a busy lady, I'm always hard on myself about being a wife. Like I'm always, you know, checking myself. Like, did you get this? Did you fix this? So you know, I'm always thinking about it. And then when my husband and I went through our storm, like our tsunami, I felt like, or the spiritual warfare to break us apart. I just really didn't even know that, you know, that purpose was going to be birthed out of the pain that we went through. And so sometimes life, and I'll never forget my mother-in-law, she says, you and Marty had such a good thing going. Don't bring the world in. And it wasn't until that moment that I realized that I had. And I talked about social media at the last night out and how social media really affects your relationship. And so there'll be moments where me and Marty just snuggled up, cuddled up, or whatever. You know, finances wasn't there because our business, when you're a visionary, you're constantly pouring money into your business.
Absolutely.
So a lot of extravagant dinners, we just wasn't having those. And my husband had lost his job for a year and a half, so we learned a lot of ways to creatively date.
Oh.
And so so a lot of times I will me and him, we cuddle up. I'll go on Facebook and I'll see someone who just, you know, maybe showered their wife. And I'm thinking, my husband didn't do that. You know what I mean? I'm just being 100.
Right.
And I talk to the wives about that. Don't allow, okay, it's your Valentine's. Your husband can only buy you some roses. You're working on a project. You're trying to build a house. You're getting out of debt. Don't let the person who husband bought them some lubies, or the person who husband may have showered them to a trip to Vegas, don't let that be your mirror to your relationship.
Absolutely.
Or throw you off. And so those are the things that we talk about at the events. I talk about things such as emotional intelligence, you know, making sure that I'm not watching those things. I never forget when I was on maternity leave, I was watching Divorce Court and all of those shows.
Right.
And, you know, my husband come home later, I'm like, well, what was you doing?
Okay.
You know, just things
just
like
feeds
that happen in relationships that will cause you
Absolutely.
to say, just the outside, like she says, you really have to protect. It's the same thing with your walk with Christ. You have to protect your walk with Christ. You have to protect your relationship with your children.
Absolutely.
You have to protect that relationship with yourself.
Absolutely.
And so making sure that your cup stay full, and that whatever anyone else get, it comes out of the overflow. And that's the whole point, is just staying persistent and staying present. Because a lot of times when you are a wife, your kids take precedence over your spouse.
Absolutely.
And I know that when in my early stages of being a wife, like as soon as I transitioned to being a mom, my kids got all my attention. So when I came home from work, my first 20 minutes was just kissing my kids on the cheek and one. And I look at my Marty, I'm like, hey, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because that was what was present in my life. And so just making sure that I'm present, my husband is present, and then I'll give it to my kids.
Right.
That way my husband like, I made them kids, you know.
Right.
There's little things that you go through in
Absolutely.
marriage. So those are the things that I did not know, you know, because sometimes you can go, even if you go to counseling, even if you go to premarital counseling, it's just some things that you don't know until you're in the thick of it.
Absolutely.
And if you don't have someone, like you said earlier, if you don't have somebody to help you in the in-between, and that's probably my obsession now, is to be that in-between
Absolutely.
for those wives that are even contemplating the
Divorce.
almost divorce.
Absolutely.
Because I've had a lady who, she was at the wives' night out, and she's been divorced for 3 years, and she turned to me and said, Kel, if I had this, I wouldn't have left my husband. I would have been able to use this as a resource
Absolutely.
to stay married. And so I'm encouraging any wife, whether you've been married for a year or if you've been married for 20 years. I had a lady who was there. She was married to her husband for 18 years, divorced for 10 or 11 months, and they end up getting remarried. So I want to invite you, bring your friends, bring your girlfriends, make it a girls' night out. Even for you, those women who are engaged, if you are engaged and due to be married in the next 6 months, you can also come. We're going to be talking about some heavy topics. It is not a live event. I'm not going live because it's very personal information that is shared, and so we don't go live. So don't expect that. Hey, I'm not going to go to this one. I catch it on Facebook Live. It's not going to happen. You're not going to see it on Facebook Live out of respect for our wives, because we are on a mission to help and to heal one another and be each other's sister, be each other's sister keepers, to have each other's back, to really pray for each other and be accountable for one another. So if you're interested, you can go to my website, which is www. As my director, she sends me the greatest information. My mom, building bridges of hope and love through community. Of course, this is the year I've declared 2018 is a year of unity through collaborative efforts.
Yes.
And so together we're collaborating. I'll be collaborating with Shannon this year to help those wives that are in transition who have said, "Look, I tried it all. I can't do it no more. I can't be beaten anymore." And I'll also add her as one of our partners on the website as well. I love you guys so much. Look forward to speaking with you soon, and don't forget to go onto Shannon's website, www.shannonbrand.com. You can go onto her information tab at the top, which is nonprofit, right?
Absolutely.
You go to her nonprofit and she'll give you all of the information and the contact information. And we'll see you next week on the Coach Kellie Speaks Show. Bye.